In PR terms, 6 out of 7 is almost a miracle, right? But they had made a really serious attempt, and that would have led to the defeat of the sole unionist representative in Newry and Mourne. Mary Lou arrived yesterday at the County Newry with all the attendant fanfare and the manufactured applause and
well, you don't know if it's manufactured or not.
And I was there,
It's manufactured applause, Donny.
Well,
I mean, applause is applause.
Well, it creates an atmosphere. So anyway, I had a perfectly civilised chat with Mary Lou and pointed out to her respectfully that if Sinn Fein did what they intended to do, there would be no unionist representation. And I asked her a simple question.
Right.
What would that do for community relations? What would it even do for the branding of something called a new Ireland or an agreed Ireland?
Give you a chance?
No, I don't say that.
I mean, it's an election. Yeah, she's your own candidate. She won votes.
And I understand
it's your problem, not her problem.
Well, it's everybody's problem when, had we been left, happily we weren't left. David Taylor won the seat successfely.
So it's an academic point you're making.
But it's an important point in their overall objectives. And that those objectives fail to recognise where unionists are in minority situations.
So when the Ulster Unionist Party ran Northern Ireland, was that a consideration, that we had to give nationalists a chance and there would be a worry if we were in charge and a nationalist community didn't get a voice at the table? I mean, come on, that was never a consideration, was it?
Look, try and keep up to date, Mark.
I really don't know the point that you're making, and I don't know what keep up to date means.
Is it not the case that really unionists are going to have to expand outside of their base and get votes from nationalists in those areas to try and gain and go across the divide, as opposed to thinking that Republicans should shrink themselves to accommodate unionism? I mean, you know my opinions on the union, but
yes.
I don't think a new Ireland means that they can't expand, that they can't campaign for votes.
But a new Ireland on the basis of sweeping every other representation away, it doesn't quite cut it when it comes to community relations.
You began this conversation by saying the Ulster Unionist Party had a decent result and wasn't being swept away. Now you're saying you're worried it is being swept away.
No, I'm saying thanks to the good sense of the people of Slave Gullion, there continues to be unionist representation, which will not only serve the unionist tradition there, but also the wider community.
Enda, what do you think about what's been suggested? I mean, is there a point in what Danny Kennedy is saying? Do you understand the point that Danny's making?
Well, I do to a degree, but I don't know how it works its way through an election. Parties go to fight an election, they're going to maximise their vote, maximise their candidate and get their best return. I don't think conversations like that will probably cut much ice with Mary Lou McDonald when you see what the party's heading down south and indeed and here in Northern Ireland as well. Albeit maybe the sentiment behind it, maybe she accepted or appreciated what you're trying to say in terms of the orange and green divide and where we ultimately might end.
The point is, elections and parties want to enter elections to win seats and to gain the most possible votes and all of that there. But on the wider front, somebody has to have a look at where we are with community relations in this country and how, in a divided society, do we simply continue to carve up and say, this is our territory, that's your territory, and you end up with, at the best of it, a benign apartheid.
But what's the solution? Danny, what are the thoughts that you put forward to suggest here's another better way?
The solution is that we, Ulster Unionist, from an Ulster Unionist Party point of view, is that we want Northern Ireland to work and be inclusive. We want Northern Ireland to succeed, not on the basis of a benign apartheid.
I think that's a given, but it's how that works through in practice, I think, is the problem.
Yeah. But Danny, it's the things that unionism has to reflect upon in terms of how inclusive you are. At the moment, what we see in Alliance is unionism drawing the wagons around a declining base and trying to defend that rather than reaching out with the point of the zero.
But Alliance, by its own admission, is not a unionist party.
No, but we represent everyone.
Why would it dictate how unionism should behave?
Well, I'm just giving you some friendly advice in the sense if you feel your vote is declining, it's because you're retreating. You're not embracing change in society. I mean, Northern Ireland is now a society of minorities. It's no longer a unionist-dominated society. We're all minorities of different descriptions. And I'm sure this is the case for you, Danny, as well.
Nobody's suggesting a unionist domination.
Every elected
I
representative
haven't heard that
treats
for
every
years.
citizen who crosses their threshold, asks for advice equally. No one asks what religion you are, what background you're from, how you voted. If someone approaches you as a constituent, you look at their case objectively on its merits. Every elected representative has to do that. But you have to also reflect upon the fact that you are digging yourselves into a hole. I mean, the decisions you guys are taking, which are exclusive, you're not embracing change. For example, in Armagh, Craigavon, you wouldn't engage gay pride, for example. What sort of message does that send out?